A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Mumitra Bekon.
And I'm Juadabdin. The United States has just seized 2 oil tankers allegedly linked to Venezuela in a dual back-to-back operation, one in the North Atlantic Sea and the other in the Caribbean. Now, more details on this story will come later on in the bulletin. Let's first take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
For safety items, b2b.lk.
Trading suspended on Colombo Stock Exchange after unusual price surge in newly listed company. Opposition coalition moves to bring no confidence motion against Education Minister. Namal Rajapaksa outshined Sajith Premadasa in opposition politics, says SLPP spokesperson.
Sajith Premadasa ගරු විපක්ෂ නායකතුමාව ඒ තරම් දිලිසෙමින් ඔබට නොපෙනෙන්නේ නාමල් රාජපක්ෂ තමන්ගේ විපක්ෂ දේශපාලන භූමිකාව හරි ලස්සනට කරන නිසා.
Who leads the alliance? Sajith or Ranil? UNP SJB talks spark heated debate. Bay of Bengal low pressure system intensifies. Heavy rainfall expected in several districts tomorrow.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
For sports items, b2b.lk.
And on to those stories in detail. In your top story this evening, trading on the Colombo Stock Exchange was suspended today following an unusual surge in the share price of a newly listed company. The Colombo Stock Exchange announced that trading will resume as normal tomorrow and confirmed that an investigation has been launched into the incident. Now, Newsfirst Hashini Pathirana and Vinuji Senavirotna contributed to this report.
What happened at the Colombo Stock Exchange today? Just 20 minutes after trading began this morning, transactions were temporarily suspended. Hours later, the Colombo Stock Exchange announced that trading would remain halted for the rest of the day. Court.
Market closed based on the request made by industry participants and to ensure a fair and orderly market. The CSE, in consultation with the Securities and Exchange Commission, has decided to close the market for the day. As notified earlier, CSE has cancelled all orders and transactions carried out today prior to market halt. Trading will resume tomorrow as usual.
End quote. Why did this situation occur? The Colombo Stock Exchange issued a clarification this afternoon regarding the matter. Quote.
The price of certain transactions of Wealth Trust Securities Limited carried out in the morning today appeared to be at irregular prices. Since this may have had an effect on the buying power of investors, the Colombo Stock Exchange halted the market to ensure a fair and orderly market.
End quote. What exactly happened today? On the 17th of December, Wealth Trust Securities Limited, a primary dealer in government securities including treasury bills and bonds, was listed as a company on the Colombo Stock Exchange. The company announced that 71 million ordinary shares, representing 5.84% of its total shares, would be issued to the market as ordinary shares. The IPO of this newly listed company took place today. At the start of trading this morning, the price per share was 7 rupees. However, within approximately 20 minutes of trading, the share price surged dramatically to 25,000 rupees per share. The Colombo Stock Exchange suspended trading and launched an investigation into this extraordinary price increase.
So let me give you the background to this. Today we had the opening and the listing of a new company, Wealth Trust Securities, and the issued price was at 7 rupees. At the time it opened, most unfortunately, some investors had put in orders at very high prices, almost unrealistic prices at 25,000. Now we must remember that in an IPO on the opening day, we don't restrict pricing because this is a process of price discovery. You discover a price for the shares. So we allow the freedom for investors to transact at a price they think is suitable, both on the buy and the sell side. But we certainly don't expect someone to come in at an unusually high price because that causes different risks. So the course of action we took when we did observe, soon after trading commenced, we observed this unusually high price. We took immediate action to halt the market, to investigate as to see the reason for this.
Why halt the market?
The simple reason is that when somebody sells at an unrealistically high price, he gets the credit of that particular transaction, and that credit he can use to buy other shares as well. So in a situation where even buyers had put in orders at a market price, so in hoping to, there was a demand for this issue. So if we did allow it, there were investors who got what we call the buying power or the credit for the shares that he or she sold, and from that you can make further purchases, resulting in additional obligations where the investor may not be able to settle the transactions, and we had unusually high transaction volume going in the market as a result of that. So in order to safeguard the market, the integrity of the market, safeguard brokers, safeguard investors as well, we took immediate action with the concurrence of the regulator, the Securities and Exchange Commission, to halt the market till we investigate.
What has the Securities and Exchange Commission said?
So by now, with the announcements and all, the investors, they know what happened actually. So we have created some kind of awareness, and people are aware of it. There's no huge panic in the market. So that's a good sign. That's a good sign. So only thing is we need to investigate this. So we are very serious on that. We are about to start. We have already found certain information. Now there's a way of doing it, methodical way. So now we are in the process of our secretariat is in the process of formulating those data, and we will be analyzing it. So with that we will be able to make a conclusion.
Do you think this is some kind of a deliberate attack? Maybe a possible...
It's too early to comment, I must say. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Wealth Trust Securities also issued a statement this afternoon. The company clarified that the suspension of trading on the Colombo Stock Exchange was due to a situation that arose within the market itself. They emphasized that this issue was not caused by any intervention from the company or its shareholders. Quote,
Based on information available to the company, the trading halt was purely a market-driven event arising from this execution error and was not caused by any action, disclosure or transaction initiated by the company or its pre-IPO shareholders. The company further confirms that no shares have been sold by pre-IPO shareholders in the market. There is no impact on the company's fundamentals, operations or previously disclosed information. We understand that CSE is currently investigating the root cause of the incident and will communicate the procedure and timeline for the resumption of trading in due course. We urge the capital market regulatory authorities to investigate and act on this incident to ensure prevention of similar market disruptions in the future.
End quote. The Deputy Minister of Finance provided clarification on the matter in Parliament today.
An investigation is currently underway to determine what exactly happened. If it is found that someone acted improperly or caused this issue, appropriate action will be taken. We are aware of how in the past the Colombo Stock Exchange was turned into a gambling arena through pump and dump strategies, causing significant losses to funds belonging to many state institutions. These discussions often involve groups linked to such practices. However, we want to assure investors that there is absolutely no reason for fear. The situation will be thoroughly examined and necessary measures will be implemented moving forward.
The Grade 6 English module that sparked controversy has not been distributed to students in any form, and steps are being taken to remove the relevant sections. Now, Minister of Education and Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amrasuriya informed this to the Parliament today.
Immediately after this matter was reported, we initiated an investigation. There is a specific procedure followed by the National Institute of Education when preparing modules. We are examining how this procedure was violated, how such content was included, and who was responsible. Based on the preliminary investigation, yesterday the Governing Council of the National Institute of Education appointed former Secretary Ranjit Aryaratna, who retired from the public service, to conduct an initial inquiry. According to that inquiry, agree the established procedures were indeed violated, and therefore a comprehensive investigation is now underway. Honourable Speaker, as soon as this issue came to light, we sealed the book I mentioned earlier, and it was never distributed to students. Yesterday, we also obtained approval from the Academic Advisory Board of the National Institute of Education to remove the controversial lesson from the book. I kindly request that during this discussion, we avoid unnecessarily promoting web links related to this matter. The lesson will not reach students because we identified the error and are taking corrective action while continuing the investigation. If there are proposals on how to strengthen this process further, we will gladly consider them.
A no-confidence motion against Education Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya was signed this morning at the office of the Leader of the Opposition. The motion, spearheaded by Opposition Leader Sajith Premadasa, alleges that the government's education reforms have introduced content deemed inappropriate for children and contain numerous factual errors, while accusing the minister of failing to take proper corrective action. What is the stance of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna on the motion of no confidence?
Clearly, as the opposition, we act collectively on decisions taken within Parliament by opposition parties. We believe that implementing policies that do not suit this country is unjust. Therefore, discussions are underway regarding bringing a motion of no confidence. In due course, the Leader of the Opposition and our party leaders in Parliament will provide further clarification on this matter.
SLPP spokesperson says Nama Rajapaksa outshined Sajith Premadasa in opposition politics.
I do not have a deep understanding of the internal dynamics of the SJB's political ambitions. As the opposition, they operate as a very small group in Parliament, working together on certain matters. However, the SLPP is not waiting for anyone else to define the role of the opposition. We are striving to move forward as the country's main opposition force. If Sajith Premadasa, the leader of the opposition, does not appear as prominent as expected, it is because Namal Rajapaksa is performing his role in opposition politics exceptionally well. That is the reason Sajith Premadasa's political presence does not stand out, because Namal Rajapaksa is far ahead in terms of national political responsibilities within the opposition. There is significant attention from the opposition regarding education reforms. But let's recall what happened during their time in power. The infamous tablet deal. Back then, the Minister of Education was Akila Viraj Karyavasam of the United National Party. The proposal to provide tablets to advanced level students and teachers was introduced in the 2017 budget, with 5 billion rupees allocated.
We will provide tablets to nearly 100,000 advanced level students and teachers in national schools. These will be high quality branded tablets. In the future, we plan to provide tablets starting from grade 6, which students can use for 3 to 4 years. This will reduce the need for printed textbooks for grades 6 to 10.
The proposal was submitted to Cabinet on the 19th February 2018. At the time, President Maithripala Sirisena instructed that the proposal be studied further. However, Akila Viraj resubmitted the same proposal to Cabinet without any changes. Remember, there was a separate Cabinet subcommittee on economic affairs back then. The President later stated that Akila Viraj had not acted according to his instructions. The Presidential Commission of Inquiry into State Sector Fraud and Corruption revealed more details in 2019. The tender process for purchasing tablets was delayed 4 times. After bids were opened, 3 members of the Evaluation Committee, including a representative from the Telecommunications Regulatory Authority, did not attend. The company selected quoted 7.4 billion rupees, while the allocated amount was 5 billion rupees. Later, the selected company negotiated with another company to reduce the price without consulting the other 8 bidders. The commission questioned this irregularity. Education Ministry officials told the commission said it was the process that should have been followed. However, it was not. The then Additional Secretary for Procurement at the Ministry admitted that the process was highly flawed. According to the Cabinet paper submitted by Akila Viraj, the recommendation was not for the lowest bidder, but for the 3rd lowest bidder, resulting in a potential loss of 1.2 billion rupees. Additional criteria such as student health and durability were introduced later without prior notice. Another cabinet paper proposed increasing the budget to 6.78 billion rupees. The worst part, the tablets were based on outdated technology despite the massive investment. The deal eventually faded from public attention. But in 2023, the Committee on Public Accounts revealed shocking details.
දැන් බිලියන 3.4ක් වියදම් කරලා අපි ටැප් පරිගණක 96919ක්
3.4 billion rupees were spent to purchase 96,919 tablets and 93,027 charging points for 124 national schools and 1,217 provincial schools intended for grades 6 to 11. These were originally meant for advanced level students. Many tablets are now outdated. Warranties expired and some cannot even be traced. 93,027 tablets were given to students from grades 6 to 11 and 3,892 were given to 3 state entities. This expenditure is practically a waste as students have no proper understanding of how to use them.
So that's what happened. Those who now shout about education reforms had their own track record. If we dig deeper, more will come to light. What's happening with the discussions between the SJB and UNP on working together? Who will lead the alliance, Sajid or Ranil?
SJB MP Kavinda Jayawardena says Sajid is their leader.
We clearly state that our leader is Sajid Premadasa. Ranil Wickramasinghe is the leader of the United National Party. Today's discussions have been very positive. The two parties are working towards a common framework for collaboration. That is what we are discussing, not a merger. The SJB will not become the UNP and the UNP will not become the SJB.
Yesterday, UNP's Ajit Manap Peruba said he is not in favour of joining forces with Sajid.
SJB MPs do not have much interest in working with Sajid Premadasa. I know this because I was part of that parliamentary group. When Lakshman Fonseca came to my house at midnight, he told me not to talk about Ranil. I fought for Ranil to be included. I left politics because no one listened. Sajid wants everything under his leadership, not a partnership.
Meanwhile, the UNP's Saman Ratnapriya expressed a different view.
Eventually, these two will definitely come together, not as one party, but as an alliance. If there is an upcoming election, we will contest jointly. We are challenging the government to hold a provincial council election. If that happens, the results will show the public opinion on both the government and the opposition. Yes, individuals have different opinions, but these are personal views, not the party stance.
The United National Party's Working Committee, which met today at Sirikotha, has officially decided to hold discussions with the Samagi Jana Balawegaya.
Everyone is expecting a historic decision and the groundwork for that is now being prepared. So far discussions have taken place informally, but now they will proceed officially. Today the working committee expressed its agreement. Furthermore, steps have been outlined to move forward in stages, ultimately leading to a meeting between the leaders and then a joint session of both working committees.
News First with the people.
For sports items, b2b.lk.
Vienna Philharmonic New Year's Concert 2026. 10th Saturday at 9:45 p.m. on TV1.
Welcome back to the news. Now, the Department of Meteorology has announced that rainfall is expected to intensify across several regions of the island starting tomorrow. This is due to a low-pressure system currently prevailing over the southeast Bay of Bengal, which is forecast to develop into a deep depression within the next 24 hours.
According to the Met Department, the system is moving west-northwest and is likely to approach Sri Lanka's eastern coastline. As a result, heavy showers exceeding 100 millimeters are expected in certain areas of the eastern and Uva provinces, as well as in parts of Polonnaruwa, Matale and Nuwara districts. Some locations in the northern province and in Anuradhapura and Kandy districts may experience rainfall of more than 75 millimeters. Strong winds of 50 to 60 kilometers per hour are also likely at times in the eastern slopes of the central hills and across the northern, north-central, northwestern and eastern provinces, as well as in the Hambantota, Gampaha, Colombo and Munaragala districts.
We expect increased rainfall and strong winds across the island until the 8th January due to the impact of this system, particularly in the northern, north-central, eastern, Uva and central provinces. Intermittent showers and winds of 50 to 60 kilometers per hour are likely. We urge the public to pay close attention to weather advisories issued in the coming days.
දින සම්බන්ධව කාලගුණිතා දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව මගින් නිකුත් කරන අනාවැක පිළිබඳව අවධානයෙන් කටයුතු කරන්න කියන අපි සියලු ජනතාවගෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටින්න කැමැතියි.
The department has also advised fishermen and naval communities to avoid venturing into deep and shallow sea areas from Kankasanture to Trincomalee and Pothuil to Hambantota until further notice. Meanwhile, red landslide warnings issued for Dudumbara in Kandy district and Nildandahinna and Walapana in Nuwara district have been extended. Second-level landslide alerts remain in effect for Kandakatia in Badula district, Wilgamo in Matale district and Hanguranketa and Mathurata in Nuwara district.
A Cessna seaplane met with an accident this afternoon while attempting to land on Gregory Lake in Nuwara. Police stated that the two pilots on board sustained injuries and were admitted to the Nuwara hospital.
A seaplane which was preparing to land on Gregory Lake in Nuwara encountered difficulties earlier today. The aircraft had flown from the Bandaranaike International Airport to Nuwara to transport a group of tourists. The two pilots on board were rescued by personnel from nearby tourist establishments, the Navy and the police.
Cessna 208.
A Cessna 208 Caravan 410 aircraft reported an incident while landing on Lake Gregory in Nuwara. Both the pilot and co-pilot were safely rescued. The Civil Aviation Authority, under the guidance of the Ministry of Ports and Civil Aviation, immediately dispatched our inspectors to the site. They are currently en route and will conduct a formal investigation upon arrival.
Cinnamon Air issued a statement this afternoon clarifying the situation. The company emphasized that there were no passengers on board at the time of the incident and confirmed that all crew members are safe. The statement further noted that Cinnamon Air is working closely with the Civil Aviation Authority and highlighted that the airline has been operating commercial flights since 2013, safely transporting over 80,000 passengers with safety as its highest priority. Phase 2 of the LOLC Divisavia You, Me, Our Country social welfare initiative continued for the third consecutive day, focusing on 2 schools in the Kandy and Ratnapura districts. This phase aims to renovate 200 schools damaged by Cyclone Titwa.
The LOLC Divisavia program consists of 3 phases. Phase 1, over a period of 10 days, essential dry rations and other necessities were distributed to families whose homes were completely destroyed by Cyclone Titwa. Phase 2, currently underway, this phase focuses on repairing 200 cyclone-affected schools across 3 provinces and 6 districts over the coming days. Under this initiative, Gallala Primary School in the Katugastora Divisional Secretariat area of Kandy District and Hopewell School in the Balangoda Divisional Secretariat area of Ratnapura District were officially handed over to students today after completion of renovations. Tomorrow, the program will hand over Kemananda Primary School in the Ambalipitiya Divisional Secretariat area of Ratnapura District and Mavusa Primary School in the Kandy District following their reconstruction. The LOLC Divisavya Social Welfare Program is dedicated to serving the people of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has secured a €188 million debt relief from Germany.
Sri Lanka signed a bilateral agreement with the Federal Republic of Germany as part of its ongoing external debt restructuring process, marking a significant milestone in the country's efforts to restore debt sustainability and revive its economy. The agreement concluded after bilateral discussions following the Memorandum of Understanding with the Official Creditor Committee provides for rescheduling outstanding debts, offering critical relief to Sri Lanka during its economic recovery phase. The estimated rescheduled debt under this agreement amounts to €188 million. Officials noted that this agreement will strengthen the long-standing bilateral relationship between Sri Lanka and Germany, paving the way for deeper cooperation in the future. The government of Sri Lanka expressed its sincere appreciation to Germany for its unwavering support and partnership. Gem Sri Lanka 2026, the country's largest and premier international gem and jewellery exhibition, was held in Colombo today. Newsfirst's Onelka Amratunga reports.
Right now, I'm at the Gems Sri Lanka exhibition organized by the Ceylon Gems and Jewellery Traders Association of Sri Lanka. All around me, as you can see, are hundreds of sellers, both locally and internationally, selling the most valuable and prestigious gems in Sri Lanka. Today's exhibition held the presence of Dr. Harini Amarasuriya, who also highlighted the importance of the gem market in Sri Lanka with a historical and cultural significance. I'm Onelka Amratunga reporting to you from the Newsfirst team.
Colombo glimmered with colour and craftsmanship as Gem Sri Lanka 2026 opened its doors in Colombo. The prestigious exhibition, organised by the Ceylon Gem and Jewellery Traders Association, brings together Sri Lanka's largest gathering of local and international stakeholders in the gem and jewellery trade. Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya attended the event as the chief guest and was joined by the Minister of Industry and Entrepreneurship Development, Sunil Handunetti, diplomats, leading industry figures and international buyers.
Our government is pleased to have been able to have brought about the changes in the regulatory framework that we expect will create a real spurt in this industry. The Minister has informed me of his intentions to ensure that Sri Lanka becomes the hub for gem and jewellery, not just in this region, but globally. And I have no doubt that we have the capacity, the skill, and the commitment to make sure that that intention becomes a reality. And this kind of exhibition, this kind of event is just another important step in ensuring that Sri Lanka becomes the hub for the gem and jewellery industry globally.
A key moment of the ceremony was the launch of the Sri Lanka Sapphire Legacy publication, a commemorative volume capturing the historic, artistry and international stature of Sri Lanka's gem industry. Running under the theme, The Source, Production and Selection, Gem Sri Lanka 2026 highlights the complete journey of gemstones from origin to final masterpiece. Dr. Ray Jayawardena, a distinguished academic leader and world-renowned astrophysicist currently serving as Provost of Johns Hopkins University, has been appointed as the next president of the California Institute of Technology. Dr. Ray Jayawardena will become the 10th president in Caltech's 105-year history, assuming office on the 1st July 2026. The announcement was made during a community-wide gathering at Caltech's Pasadena campus following a months-long international search led by the Institute's Board of Trustees. At Johns Hopkins, Jayawardena oversees 10 schools and a wide portfolio of interdisciplinary programs and academic centers. As a scientist, his research explores the origins and evolution of planets and planetary systems, as well as star and brown dwarf formation. He has co-authored 180 refereed papers with over 10,000 citations, underscoring his global impact in astrophysics. On to news overseas. In the latest development, the US says that it has seized 2 oil tankers linked to Venezuela. The first tanker, Marinera, formerly known as a Bella 1, a Russian-flagged vessel, was seized in the North Atlantic Sea earlier this evening. Earlier, Russia had deployed Navy assets to escort the oil tanker as it was being pursued by US forces across the Atlantic. The ship is accused of breaking US sanctions and shipping Iranian oil. The vessel has been historically known to transport Venezuelan crude oil, but is reported to be empty at the moment of the seizure. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says the Marinera had been evading the U.S. Coast Guard for weeks. In addition, according to the U.S. Southern Command, the United States has seized a second tanker, this time in international waters near the Caribbean. The U.S. military said that the interdicted vessel, MT Sophia, is a stateless, sanctioned dark fleet motor tanker and was operating in international waters and conducting illicit activities in the Caribbean Sea. It added that the vessel is currently being escorted to the US for final disposition. Also, interim authorities in Venezuela are expected to hand over between 30 and 50 million barrels of crude oil to the United States, according to US President Donald Trump. He made this statement one day after Venezuela's Vice President Delcy Rodriguez was sworn in as the country's interim president.
In a social media post, the US president announced that Venezuelan oil will be sold at market prices. He has instructed Energy Secretary Chris Wright to implement this immediately, with oil tankers scheduled to deliver barrels directly to US storage ports. President Trump also stated that he will personally oversee financial arrangements to ensure that the benefits of this deal reach both the people of Venezuela and the United States. Previously, the US president said that American companies would begin investing in Venezuela's oil infrastructure within 18 months. Venezuela, which claims ownership of the world's largest oil reserves, currently holds an estimated 303 billion barrels of crude oil. So far, Venezuelan authorities have not publicly expressed agreement with the US president's statement. Experts warn that transferring such a large quantity of oil could pose a risk of depleting Venezuela's own reserves. Meanwhile, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro remains in US military custody in New York City. UN human rights spokesperson Ravina Shamdasani said, quote-unquote, the future of Venezuela must be determined by the Venezuelan people alone. Shamdasani made the following comments at the bi-weekly press briefing of the United Nations on the United States intervention in Venezuela.
We are deeply worried about the situation in Venezuela following the U.S. military operation over the weekend. It is clear that the operation undermined a fundamental principle of international law, that states must not threaten or use force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk calls on the US and the Venezuelan Authority, as well as the international community, to ensure full respect for international law, including human rights. The future of Venezuela must be determined by the Venezuelan people alone, with full respect for their human rights, including the right to self-determination and sovereignty over their lives and their resources.
The White House says US President Donald Trump has been discussing a range of options to acquire Greenland, including use of the military.
The White House told foreign media that acquiring Greenland, a semi-autonomous region of fellow NATO member Denmark, was a national security priority. The statement came hours after European leaders issued a joint statement rallying behind Denmark, which has been pushing back against Trump's ambitions for the Arctic island. Trump repeated over the weekend that the US needed Greenland for security reasons, prompting Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen to warn that any attack by the US would spell the end of NATO. Speaking with the press on Air Force One earlier in the week, US President Donald Trump stated that the United States of America needed Greenland from a national security situation.
By the way, I will say this about Greenland. We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you. You know what Denmark did recently to boost up security in Greenland? They added one more dog sled. It's true. They thought that was a great move.
The White House said on Tuesday, quote, "The President and his team are discussing a range of options to pursue this important foreign policy goal, and of course utilizing the US military is always an option at the Commander-in-Chief's disposal." NATO is a transatlantic military group in which allies are expected to go to each other's aid in case of external attacks. On to sports, the first T20 international between Sri Lanka and Pakistan is underway in Dambulla. Batting first, Sri Lanka were bowled out for 128 runs in 19.2 overs. Janit Liyanagi was the top scorer for the Lankans with 40 runs to his credit. Abrar Ahmed and Salman Mirza bagged 3 wickets each for Pakistan. In reply, Pakistan are currently cruising comfortably at 76 runs for the loss of 1 wicket after 80 overs a short while ago.
Do you remember the blockbuster Sri Lankan movie Dharmayuddha that captured hearts across the nation? Get ready, its much-awaited sequel is coming soon. Maharaja Media Network is all set to bring this epic continuation to your screens.
Colombo witnessed a glittering event as the special media screening of the highly anticipated film Dharmayuddha 2 took place, drawing a large gathering of celebrated actors and actresses from Sri Lanka's film industry. The sequel to the iconic Dharmayuddha is directed by Aruna Jayawardena, with the screenplay penned by Suneth Malinga Lokoheva. The film's linear production was overseen by Dharmashri Ekanayaka, the director of Sirasa TV, while Yasarat Kamalsari, Chief Executive Officer of MTV, serves as the executive producer. The cast features some of Sri Lanka's most renowned names, including Sanath Gunathilaka, Bimal Jaikodi, Douglas Ralsingha, Buddhadasa Vithanarachi, Kusum Renu, Dilhani Ashokamala and Ashan Dias, among many other talented performers who graced yesterday's screening. Distribution rights for Dharmayuddha 2 are held by M Entertainments, ensuring the film reaches audiences nationwide. The gripping storyline promises to unravel the mystery behind a chilling murder buried deep beneath the surface. Will the truth finally come to light this time? Mark your calendars. Dharmayuddha 2 hits theatres on the 23rd of January. Get ready to experience the suspense and drama at a cinema near you.
One of the treasures that adorns the beauty of Sri Lanka is its breathtaking waterfalls. For such an enchanting experience, we now head on to Deniyai on beautiful Sri Lanka.
Beautiful Sri Lanka.
Deniaya is a region blessed with stunning mountain ranges and cascading waterfalls enriched by natural beauty. The Singharaja Forest Reserve adds even more charm to this picturesque landscape. Here lies Fatna Buruskala, a natural wonder worth exploring. Although some routes may be challenging, this scenic mountain attracts local and foreign travelers throughout the year. The journey from Deniaya town to this destination offers mesmerizing views of lush green tea plantations and majestic mountain ranges on either side. The thrill of sliding down smooth rock surfaces here is truly unforgettable. The water is crystal clear, and the shallow natural pools at the base of the falls make it safe for a refreshing dip. So, if you're planning a getaway to Deniaya, don't forget to visit Buruskala, an experience you'll cherish forever.
And that's a wrap of your news for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.